Hey guys, it's Paul here at Impulsive Culinarian, and in this video I want to talk to you about a delicious roasted pork tenderloin recipe. Pork tenderloin, what a great meat. It's really hard to mess up pork tenderloin, and if you do, it's because you overcooked it. That's it. So many different ways to prepare it. So the recipe that I'm going to be doing for you today, it's sort of like a proud Canadian version of my favorite. It's a maple mustard roasted pork tenderloin. So we're going to roast the tenderloin, start it in a cast iron pan in a nice herb rub, and then we're going to finish it in the oven for a little bit, just 10 minutes until it's just cooked. And guys, this comes out super moist and tender. You slice it into nice big half-inch slices. I can almost taste it right now. So here's the ingredients that you're going to need. Okay, so let's do this in two parts. Let's start with the rub ingredients. So you're going to need 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme, finely chopped, 1 tablespoon of fresh oregano, finely chopped. You're going to need a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dry mustard powder, and a half a teaspoon of some freshly ground black pepper. Now, as for the rest of the ingredients, the pork tenderloin ingredients, you're going to need a pork tenderloin. Really? 2 tablespoons of olive oil so that we can do the searing in our cast iron pan. Once that's done, the rest of the ingredients are all about the sauce. So you're going to need 2 tablespoons of margarine or butter, depending on what your family can use, 1 shallot finely minced, 1 garlic clove also finely minced, a 1/4 cup of white wine, 2 generous tablespoons of real maple syrup. Guys, get the real stuff, none of that fake stuff. And 1 big tablespoon of good Dijon mustard. All right, let's get to this recipe. It's so delicious, I can't wait. Okay, so roasted pork tenderloin recipe. True Canadian chefs have to make maple mustard pork tenderloin recipe at least once in their life. It's kind of like it's a rite of passage, okay? So here's what we're going to be using. It's 1 pound, you see these all over the place in the grocery store, 1 pound of pork tenderloin. Get the nice long piece, and what we're going to be doing, since we're using a cast iron pan, which is 12 inches, we don't want to have to fiddle with this long tenderloin in the pan. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to be working with 2 equally sized halves, half pound each, of pork tenderloin. So first things first, let's preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Okay, so since we're starting and finishing with this cast iron pan for this recipe, it's a 12-inch pan. What we want to do is we want to be able to cook the tenderloin in the oven covered. So if you don't have an oven-safe cover, before you start heating up your pan, get a piece of tin foil that's sort of going to just like make it over the edges. That's more than enough. It doesn't have to be a tight-fitting lid. If you do have an oven-safe lid, of course, that's what you want to use. So you don't need it right away, but just get your lid ready or your piece of tin foil for when it's time. Okay, so now that you've managed to find a lid for your skillet while it's still cool, put it over medium-high heat. Okay, so let's take a look at these rub ingredients. Okay, so here are my fresh herbs that I've chopped up really finely. That comes from our beautiful herb garden. We're really lucky to have some great oregano and fresh thyme. So around a tablespoon, once it's chopped, of each. If you don't have oregano and thyme, or you don't like those herbs, you can use any fresh herb that you like. Get a couple of tablespoons of that. Here's my dry seasonings right here. So the mustard powder, garlic and onion powders, some kosher salt, and some freshly ground black pepper. I've already minced up my shallot. Okay, you know the French shallots that I love to use like this. And of course, 1 great big clove of garlic, finely chopped. That's a bit rough chopped there, but it'll have to do. And of course, my 1/4 cup, of white wine. It's good to prepare all of these ingredients in advance because once you start going, it's going to go pretty quickly. So I like to have all of this at the ready so that when I get started, it's not going to hold me back. Okay, so next thing you want to do is you're going to get a shallow plate like this or a medium-sized flat bowl. That's going to be where you put all of your rub ingredients, and we're going to take each of the half pieces of tenderloin and coat them completely in that plate. So of course, before putting on the rub, you want to take a sharp knife and take off any of those little pieces of excess fat, trim the pork tenderloin until it looks really nice, and cut it in half. There we go. 2 equally sized half-pound pieces of beautiful pork tenderloin. Okay, so let's get all the rub ingredients in our shallow plate right now. In go the herbs and all the dry ingredients. Okay, so just use your fingers and mix it up so that they're all nice and combined. So that's what it'll look like, guys, once you have your herbs and your dry spices mixed together. All right, so take your 2 pieces of pork tenderloin and coat equally on each side with this rub. Don't leave any rub in the plate. Okay, so there, all of our rub is completely coated on both sides of this tenderloin. Not one little bit left in there. If you've got these thin flaps, which is totally normal for a pork tenderloin, just fold them over and make sure that it's the same thickness all the way through. All right, we're ready to go to the next step. All right, so you want to turn on the fan for this part. These are going to go in the hot skillet on one side for 2 minutes, no more. It should make a nice brown crust, so 2 minutes. Be ready. All right, so 2 minutes max, guys. You see, I've already got a really beautiful brown crust going on there, and no more than that, otherwise it'll really start to burn and char. All right, so we want to get this in the oven for exactly 10 minutes. All right, so cover the skillet, get it in the oven for 10 minutes at 400, no more. So while your tenderloins are cooking in the oven, get yourself another clean plate, because when that skillet comes out of the oven, piping hot, you want to put it back on the stovetop on medium heat, but you want to take the pork tenderloins out and put them in another dish just so that they can rest, and you're going to cover it so that they don't get cold while you're making the rest of your sauce. You're not going to be heating them up or cooking them again after that point, so you really do want to cover them up once they're in that separate plate. Also, use a plate that's got a little bit of an edge to it because you want to contain those juices. All the lovely juices that are going to come out of that pork, we're going to put that in the sauce too. That's gold. You don't throw that away, ever, right? Right? You never do that, right? That little 10-minute window is awesome. You get out your maple syrup, you get your Dijon, your margarine, have everything ready to go. It's going to go quite quickly. Every little next step that we're going to do is 30 seconds, 1 minute. So have all those ingredients prepped. Trust me, guys. This right here is one of my absolute favorite things. Real maple syrup and Dijon mustard. I just feel patriotic looking at it. Oh, Canada. Okay, so when this comes out of the oven, there's going to be a lot of juice in the pan, or a little bit of juice at least. Whatever amount that you get, depending on the pork tenderloin that you got, you want to keep that juice. So prepare yourself a heat-safe bowl that's going to just contain all those juices. Once you've taken the pork tenderloin and put them in the plate, you want to get the juices into that bowl and set them aside. Keep them. That's a crucial ingredient right there. 10 minutes is expired. Let's get those guys out. Okay, shall we reveal? Oh man, look at that. That's gorgeous. Just a lovely little juice at the bottom of the pan. That is pure flavor right there. That's where we're going to save it. And those pork tenderloins, guys, I know that they're cooked just perfectly. Okay, nice and perfect to touch. I bet you those are just a little pink inside. All right, so we're going to get those out, put them in our little plate so that they can rest. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, get them in the plate. Oh, perfect. Just perfect. Not tooting my horn here, guys. I just love it when stuff turns out right. All right, so you know me. I don't like to put tin foil on my food. A little kooky that way. So I'm putting some parchment paper, and I'm covering it with tin foil. Yeah, I should probably see something about that. It's a thing. Okay, so make sure those are nice and covered, and all of the juices are going to get reabsorbed into the meat, and whatever does not go back into the meat, it's going to make a nice little jus. We're going to add that to the sauce. Wow, going to be good. Okay, so now that your skillet is up, you want to make sure not to burn yourself on the cast iron handle and get those juices in a separate bowl. Whatever there is, take every last drop. Oh man, look at that. Waste nothing. If it wasn't so hot, I would lick this. I would totally do it. Man, that's good. All right, so there's no need to clean out the skillet. Leave whatever residue is in there and that's going to be fine. Next thing you're going to do, put it over medium heat, okay? And add in great big knob of margarine or butter. If your family can have dairy, use butter. Otherwise, if you're like us, we use a very specific soy-free, dairy-free margarine. It's the best thing that we can find, good flavor. Put that into the hot cast iron pan. Oh, I love this meal, guys. I love this meal. It's so fragrant. The kitchen smells amazing. There's a nice little pork tenderloin haze in here. Pork haze! Okay, so when your margarine or butter is just starting to melt like that and it's sizzling, Just like that. It's starting to get hot. Put in your minced shallot. Okay, shallot in the pan. So you don't want to brown them. You just want to soften them. A couple of minutes is more than enough. So before the onions start to brown, get your garlic in the pan. Okay, so you don't want to cook them too long, around a half a minute or so until the garlic gets nice and fragrant. Okay, so now that your garlic is just starting to get fragrant, before it browns, you don't want to burn it, that's for sure. Then you want to put in the white wine and let it reduce by half. So with such a small quantity of white wine, it's really spread out in the bottom of the pan. It shouldn't take more than a minute to reduce by half. So the wine has a sound when it's just reduced enough. Take a listen to that. It's sizzling a little bit more than it was when you put it in the pan. So that's a good time to add the rest of your stuff, namely maple syrup and mustard. All right, so get the true Canadian ingredients in there now, yeah? Oh, unmistakable. That smell right there. So stir it together really well so everything is nice and combined. Oh man, that smells good. Just gonna taste it for fun. Wow. And the pork drippings are not in there yet. That's so good, guys. So good. Okay, so let that thicken just a little bit, around a half of a minute or so, and then you want to add one of the last two remaining ingredients, the juice from your pan. And now you want to unwrap the tenderloins just enough to go and see. I'm going to show you. So these have rested while I've been making that sauce, and you see that lovely juice right there? That's going right in the sauce right now. All right, pork juice, pork broth, I guess you could call it, into the sauce. And cover them back up again, keep them warm. So a good way to know when this sauce is ready is when you draw a spoon across the bottom of the pan and it just leaves a streak like that. That's perfect. All right? Okay, I'm going to turn it off, remove it from the heat, and I'm just going to taste it, make sure that I don't overcorrect the seasonings. It's very important to taste it now. Okay, now that your sauce is ready, you're ready to cut this up and plate it. You can cut them however you like. I prefer nice half-inch slices. I think that works out perfect. Oh, beautiful. A little bit of a pink hue in the middle. And this is so tender, guys. Oh my God. That's the way to eat pork tenderloin. Look at that. Just a little bit pink in the middle. Oh, but it's nice and cooked through. Gorgeous. Big half-inch chunks of delicious pork tenderloin. So we're going to put both of those sliced up in a plate and pour a little bit of sauce on top. Oh, lovely. Okay, pork tenderloins chopped up. Get some of that gorgeous sauce and just spoon it right on top. So if you've got some of your fresh herbs left over, you can garnish with a little bit of that, some oregano, a little bit of thyme, whatever you like. So there you have it, guys. Oh, this is fantastic. A little bit of pork tenderloin in a beautiful maple mustard sauce, fresh herbs to garnish. It's still mid-morning, but guess what I'm having for breakfast? It's a different kind of bacon, right? And it's got maple syrup, so it's very breakfasty. Guys, my name is Paul from Impulsive Culinary, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and stay tuned on Wednesday night. We're going to be doing a Wednesday update live right here from the Impulsive Culinary Kitchen. I'm going to crack open a brand new bottle of wine, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys. So bring your drinks and join me online, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Oh.